Everyone can see my screen okay? All right, so today we're going to go over a topic that I think is a pretty important topic to kind of visualize your goals and achieving your goals. But this is going to be a little bit more of a unique approach to it. And again, there's multiple different strategies that you can compound on each other to get the same desired results. But in this case, we're going to talk about visualizing and achieving your goals. All right, so you can kind of see I have, will I eat an Idaho potato in Idaho? And I know that kind of sounds crazy, but as this progress, it'll make a lot more sense. So let me scroll down, get to the first section, and I'll put this in the chat for you guys to follow along as well too. So just thinking from visual, like how to visualize things, right? I mean, obviously you hear about sport teams and you hear about them winning 20% more because before the team even plays, the coach is saying, okay, visualize the win, visualize the goal. And by doing that, it's been scientifically proven that, hey, by doing that, you get 20% more increase in achieving those goals. So in this particular quote, right, if you really want to do something, you'll find a way. If you don't, you'll find excuses. And it kind of goes back to visualizing your goals. If you're not going to visualize the end results, then obviously you're wasting your time and you're not going to be able to execute what you're trying to do. So a general overview, right? You can look at visualizing things as far as like a vision board. You can put collages together, you can put audio files together, you can put many different things together, and essentially what you're doing is creating a list. In this case, it could be a bucket list, it could be an intention list, it could be an inspiration list, a motivation list, a trip that I must do list. All these different things are things that you can kind of create a list for to kind of help visualize your goals and achieving it to make it move forward. And keep in mind, this is not a honey to-do list. These are actually real things that you'll have to do, particularly for yourself. So before we move forward, I want you guys to think about it as not necessarily just any list. It is a list that needs to have interjected purpose. And when I say purpose, I mean you need to define what that purpose is. And I'm going to give you an example of that. So an example of this purpose, right? So my wife's favorite dessert is creme brulee. This summer we're going to Barcelona, Spain. So would it not be cool to take her 50 miles west of Barcelona to Catalina and get where creme Catalina was originally created in that particular city in Spain. So again, we're going to be in Spain, but I'm giving it a dual purpose and I'm applying that to say, okay, not only are we creating a memory, we're creating a goal, we're going there for multiple different reasons. But again, at the end of that, by default, I think I'll probably get some that night as well too, because I'm thinking beyond the average, right? So what does that really look like when you're talking about goals, right? So let's say if I'm looking at I want to travel the world. I want to speak on multiple stages. Let's say I want to speak in Manhattan. Well, what would it look like for me to have a Manhattan in Manhattan? What would it look like for me to have Brunswick stew in Brunswick? What would it look like for me to have a Belgian waffle in Belgium, right? So again, like this list is something that you can kind of use and you could update. But again, I'm saying, hey, if I'm going to speak in Manhattan, I want to make sure I have a Manhattan in Manhattan. So now you have a visual. You have a visual. You could take pictures and then you could post this picture. It could become content. It could become a blog post. It could be all these different things. But now I have a strategy to say, hey, everywhere I go, I'm going to do something. And I'm using food as an example, but it's not limited to just food. We also had an opportunity to go to China. So I had steamed dumplings in China in 2019. So this is the type of things that I'm talking about. Like, what would your list look like? Can you start building a list? Have you already started your list? And if you haven't, then start visualizing your list of locations or things that you want to do and then apply it to something. In this case, it's food. The next was we have Texas coming up, and I'm a speaker at the Success Champions Summit. So while I'm in Texas, I said, okay, let me create a list. What are some things that Texas is known for, right? And this list took me maybe 5 minutes. So my goal is, at the bare minimum, I want to at least check off one of these things while I'm in Texas. In this case, I didn't even know there was a cowboy caviar, which essentially looks like corn mix or whatever. So when I go to Texas, I'm going to make sure that I check this off my list. And again, I'm speaking on the stage at the same time. The next speaking engagement I have around that same time is probably going to be in Seattle. So I'm going to create a Seattle list for the same exact purpose. So in closing, right, whatever your mind can conceive and believe, you can achieve. And if you know anything about Napoleon Hill, you probably heard this a million different times. And that's why I want you guys to get into more of the visual things, right? It's not just about the business strategies. It's about, in this case, we're talking about food. So if you're a foodie, how do you attach the food to your principles, to your goals? How do you attach a thing to your principles and goals? And then you create this list that you can check off pretty frequently, pretty easy, right? So the final takeaway in this case would be an example. I could see Hildy wearing a custom branded Egyptian silk scarf at the 2022 Print to Pack trade show convention in Egypt. Again, it's a location, it's Egyptian silk, it's not food, but you kind of get the idea of how to create these lists based upon the principles of those locations. So, what I want you guys to do after this presentation is I want you to go into breakouts and I want you to think about locations that you've been or locations that you want to go and things that you want to do with your business, whether it's speaking on stages, whether it's particular clients that you want, and apply that to that location and apply it to something that location is known for. And also in this document, I have a wiki page that kind of gives you a complete list of different foods that are all related to particular locations. And last but not least, if you got value from this, feel free to scan this QR code and give me a review and let me know. I take those reviews are very, very important because that helps me to build more content like this. Do you have any questions?
How do you come up with this stuff, essay?
Voices in my head.
Well, we should share the list for Texas to make some goals for when we go there. Is anyone else going to the summit, by the way?
Yes.
Any?
Make like a bingo card or something.
Exactly.
I'm from Texas, so I'm happy to contribute to the to the
Very interesting. I'm not 100% sure how, like, I'm trying to make the connection between the business stuff for me. Maybe I just need to talk it out. What do the rest of y'all think?
Yeah, that's the hard part for me. I mean, like, I would like to go. We have never gone to, like, I don't know, the Grand Canyon. So I don't know how I would flip that. How can you brainstorm that with me, SA?
Or like, what would be another, like, an example that's not food related?
And that's what I use Hildy's example. So
Okay.
Hildy's example was a good one just to kind of say, okay, I can see Hildy, and I did the research. In 2022, there's a print packing convention in Egypt. And then I was like, okay, what is Egypt known for? Egyptian silk. So an Egyptian silk scarf. So again, you just have to think about, okay, if you're, like, prime example, you're going to Orlando, right? What are you going to Orlando for? And then what is Orlando known for? You're going for Orlando for business already. So just tying the two together, so that way you have both the association of something fun and business and everything that you're doing. So it becomes more of a game for you. You see what I'm saying? It's not just about I'm going to Orlando for business. I'm going to Orlando for business, and hey, maybe I've never done this in Orlando before. And the next time you go back, you'll get something else from your list. So that way you start collecting this information of fun things in association to your business as well. So that way your business won't get boring.
Mickey Mouse waffles in Orlando at Disney World.
Take a picture with it, make a post and say this is your first time. You were at this convention, you're having a Mickey Mouse waffle, and a couple other bullet points, and you post it. And you do it again in the next city, and the next convention, and the next summit, and the next speaking. And again, you just keep doing this, and you'll end up building this portfolio of things on particular locations that become like your legacy.
Okay, wait, so it could be like if Coca-Cola was a target company for me to work with, and they hired me drinking a Coca-Cola at the Coca-Cola office.
Exactly.
Or when I go to, like, a cannabis convention in Las Vegas, you don't know what the picture would include.
But the fact that you guys are smiling and laughing, that's the point. It's the point
Gotcha.
about making your goals fun, not just 100% strict and rigid.
Gotcha.
Interesting. Okay, good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Any other questions?
One, I do have a question not related exactly to this, but about, like, doing reviews, because on, these segments and everything, do you want reviews from the same people over and over?
I mean, we can. I mean, I mix and
mean,
match. So, I mean, think about it. I mean, I just did Boston's chapter yesterday, so I'm gonna get reviews from them. So every time I do different content, the review could be completely different. So if you got value and you want to give a review, by all means, it could be the same person, but the content's gonna be different.
Okay.
And there's other, Essay has his set up with like, you can review in different places, if I'm correct, right? Isn't it like?
Yeah, you could do a written review or a video review, so it's all systematically done. So you can kind of pick and choose whatever you want to do.
Yep. Cool. All right. So our breakout is, how do we apply this?
Yeah, yeah. I see the smirk on your face, and that's good. So you're smiling, you're thinking about it.
Okay.